Okay, imagine a key you can never, ever lose, that's impossible to copy, and that proves not only that you're you, but that you're alive. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? But believe it or not, researchers are turning this very concept into reality, using the most personal, vital signal your body produces, your heartbeat. So let's just ask the big question right up front. In a world where we're constantly forgetting passwords and hearing about stolen fingerprints, could the unique rhythm of your own heart actually be the most secure key you will ever own? I mean, you can see the appeal, right? It's undeniable. Unlike a face or a fingerprint, your heartbeat is this dynamic internal signal. For one, it's persistent. It's always there, just doing its thing. It's also incredibly difficult to fake. And here's the real kicker. It's the ultimate liveness metric. You just can't get a real-time cardiac signal from a photo or a plaster mold. It's a totally different way of thinking about biometrics. But how is this even possible? Well, to get it, we need to look at what makes your cardiac signal uniquely yours. We're going to deconstruct the very rhythm of life itself. You've probably seen something like this before. It's the classic electrocardiogram, or ECG. This shape, that's one single beat of a heart. Now, if you look closely, you can see these key points. The P wave, that super sharp spike of the QRS complex, and then the T wave. The specific timing, the shape, the height of these points, all of that is determined by the unique physical size, shape, and position of your heart. And look, this isn't just some new theory. As far back as the year 2000, researchers were already noticing that the differences in these ECG traces from person to person were, in their words, significant. It was one of the first really big hints that this electrical signature could actually be used for identification. Now, this is where it gets really cool, because it answers the most obvious question. Doesn't your heartbeat change when you're stressed or exercising? And yeah, of course, the rate changes, but the underlying signature, that's remarkably stable. The black lines here show a person at rest. The gray lines are the exact same person but under high stress. Even though their heart is racing, once you line up the beats, that fundamental shape stays consistent. It's amazing. And this chart just drives that crucial point home. When researchers crunched the numbers, they found the difference between me and you is 1 or even 2 orders of magnitude greater than the difference within me when I'm calm versus when I'm stressed out. That huge gap is the secret sauce that makes this whole thing possible. Of course, if it were that simple, we'd all be using it already. Getting a clean, perfect signal from the human body is a massive challenge. Before you can use a heartbeat as a key, you have to get past 3 major obstacles that are always standing in the way. You see, every single measurement is this messy mix of 3 things. First, there's the target. That's you, the person. Then there's the environment. Are you in a silent lab, or are you trying to unlock your car in a noisy parking lot? And finally, you have the sensor itself, the tool you use to measure. The beat introduces its own little bits of noise and error. So how do we actually measure this thing? Well, broadly speaking, there are 2 approaches. On one hand, you've got your contact sensors, like a hospital ECG. They give you a beautiful, rich, high-fidelity signal, but you have to physically touch them. On the other hand, you have standoff sensors, think lasers or Doppler radar. These are incredible because they can work from a distance, but they're way more vulnerable to noise, especially from something as simple as you shifting your weight. So, if the raw signal is so messy, how in the world do scientists find that one-of-a-kind signature that's hidden inside all that noise? Well, the answer lies in some pretty clever signal processing. I mean, just look at this. This is what a raw signal can look like. It's fuzzy, it's chaotic. You're not just seeing the heartbeat here, you're seeing electrical interference from the power lines in the wall, noise from tiny muscle twitches, even the rhythm of the person's breathing. The true, unique signal is buried in there somewhere, and the whole job is to pull it out. So the cleaning process is basically a 3-step dance. First, they use digital filters to get rid of all the known interference, like that 60 hertz hum from our electrical grid. Second, they chop up the data, isolating each individual heartbeat. And third, and this is the magic step, they align them all. And this is the result. By stacking each heartbeat perfectly on top of the last one, all that random noise starts to cancel itself out, and a clear, consistent template starts to emerge. It's a classic technique, kind of like how astronomers stack images of a distant galaxy to make it look sharper. And the result is what researchers call an eigenpulse, your unique cardiac signature finally pulled out from the noise. Now, that is a powerful way to find a clean signal. But what if you're in a high-stakes security situation where you absolutely cannot afford a mistake? Even a tiny bit of leftover noise could be a problem. So what if one signal, even a really clean one, just isn't robust enough?
Well, the answer is something called data fusion. Instead of just relying on one sensor, you use several at once. On the left here, you can see data from an ECG, a blood pressure cuff, and a pulse oximeter, all collected at the exact same time. They're all measuring the same cardiac event, just in slightly different ways. And the chart on the right, that shows the payoff. When you fuse all that data together, the identification accuracy gets a huge boost, making it way harder to fool the system.
This technology obviously has incredible potential, but it also walks us right up to the edge of some very serious questions about privacy and consent. This really is a double-edged future we're looking at. A key idea here is standoff identification. For some applications, this is the holy grail, the ability to identify someone from a distance, using something like a laser or radar to pick up their cardiac signal. And here's the kicker, potentially without their consent or even their knowledge. Now, to be clear, we are not there yet. This is all on the cutting edge of research. Scientists still need to prove these signatures are stable over decades, not just months. They're working to collect data across every imaginable emotional state. And they're tackling the big one for standoff ID. How do you reliably remove the noise from body movement when someone isn't just standing perfectly still for you? And this brings us to the most crucial point of all. A fingerprint only contains your identity. That's it. But your heartbeat, it contains so much more. From that one signal, someone could potentially figure out not just who you are, but your stress level, whether you might have a heart condition, or even if you're feeling agitated or calm. It's an incredibly intimate window into your body and your mind. Which leaves us with a final, unavoidable question. As this technology starts moving from the lab into our lives, unlocking our phones, our cars, maybe even our front doors, we really have to ask ourselves, is that too much information to hand over all for the sake of a little more security?